Good afternoon, everyone. When I went through the COLT, it was with the O, the online, and the reason I was doing it is because I was doing an online public speaking class. And no, that is not an oxymoron. It does work, and actually I do have to leave fairly quickly after my presentation because I have a Zoom session where my students are giving their final speeches today. So that's how we do it. But COLT was very, very helpful when I started developing that course. I wish the O was still in it. Instead of online, it should be, oh, so that's how you do it. Because really, that's how you do it. What I found in COLT should be done in any kind of course. And I found it very, very helpful to have a framework to follow. So as I went through my course and rethought about things, which I do every semester, it gave me a guideline so I could make new decisions, try something different. So I kind of look at COLT, our COLT, it's hard to say without the O, as kind of a toolkit. And today I happen to bring my tool belt. And I think there are three factors that for me I want to focus in on because I spend a lot of time in this every semester, face-to-face as well as my online courses, in developing a class that I think will be student-centered. The first thing I attempt to do is to develop community. For me, this is extremely important, especially if it is an online course, but in teaching public speaking, as many of you probably know, not everybody likes to do that kind of thing. So developing a community feeling and support is very, very important. So in my Com 100 class, I really focus in on putting my students into smaller groups. Because it's online, I use Zoom. And so we do meet throughout the semester on Zoom. I have students in all different parts of the country. I even had a student one time in China taking the course. But we got to know each other. And what was really great, there was a student in Colorado and a student in China taking my public speaking class. They also had to be in on the same online statistics class, so they ended up helping each other with statistics. Now talk about community. They really felt like they were part of the university group because of that opportunity. So it's really important to form that community. And this semester, for the first time, I'm teaching a totally online upper division GE course called American Public Discourse. I basically do pop culture in that class. And I spend a lot of time developing community within that by having discussion groups. And the students have loved it. I've gotten feedback both face-to-face and through email how much the students have really appreciated that because they feel comfortable getting to know each other. So in addition to really focusing in on community, which is, again, I see as part of the COLT rendition, I really focus in on students having the ability to make some choices. That's another tool that I think is very important and comes out through the framework that you're looking at. Every other week, my students in my Com 100 class do TED Talk reviews. I have a framework. I have a student work from earlier semesters that I use as a template. And by golly, I encourage everybody to do this as well. I actually did my own assignments. Oh my goodness, I found out I'm tough. But I honestly, how many people here, honestly, you've done your own assignment that okay, at least one other person. So I actually toned down some of my assignments. I took it from the student perspective. So I actually have samples of my work, samples of my speeches that students can analyze as well. And so this is something that I think is really important for choices. And in my Com 300 class, I didn't think this was going to work, but it was a miracle. It actually did work. I had discourse discussions, which hasn't been always all that fruitful. But this semester, I had one on Beyonce's Hold Up from her Lemonade visual album. And I had a lot of different prompts, and students were able to choose which prompts they wanted to answer. So they had choices there. And then students had to respond to the prompts of other students, and then they had to reply to the replies. So it was actually a conversation. I got feedback. Students usually don't do this, but they gave me feedback. They really enjoyed dissecting Beyonce's Lemonade visual album. And then the next one was looking at the concept of othering in The Office and the misogyny in The Big Bang Theory. Now I have to be honest, I've kind of ruined all these sitcoms for these students now. But they really had very fruitful discussions, taking concepts from the course and then applying them through discourse discussion. I didn't even interact with the students. I let them interact with one another and then gave them the feedback in Canvas once we got to that point. And then finally, you heard me say this on the video, I think the most important is from the COLT instrument itself is the scaffolding that we provide to students. In the Com 100, I've set it up so they go to small assignments to the bigger assignments, and today they're finishing with their Zoom persuasive speeches, 7 to 9 minutes talking to a group of people via Zoom, and they have to do visual aids, screen sharing, they have to have the outlines, etc. it's actually pretty heavy duty stuff that they're doing, and they're doing it so well. But it's that support that we give them, and Colt really helps provide that support. And then finally, I just want to mention in my Com 300 class, my upper division class that I'm doing, students have quizzes every week. These lead into the discourse discussions. Some of my students have figured this out. I'll take questions from the quiz and put them on the test, and I take a question from the discourse discussion and put it on the test. So it's reinforcing material along the way. The last test, they all had to do a rhetorical analysis of either an Al Gore speech or a Barack Obama speech. And then their projects, which were due last night at 9:52 p.m., they had to turn in a rhetorical analysis of their own. So along the way, every single assignment builds on one another. A lot of this, some of this I was doing before, but the Colt instrument really, really helps zero in on this and gives you a framework from which to look at your own. And I just want to end very quickly here with an email that a student sent me. Most of my students in this course are actually science majors, taking it for general education purposes. So this is my American Public Discourse. So this was sent on November 12th. Dear Doc, I just wanted to express my gratitude for the topics in weeks 12 and 13. As a wildlife major, I am so happy to see environmental material being integrated across other majors. I was so excited when I saw that we were required to read chapters from Silent Spring. I had been wanting to read it myself and was so happy to have it as an excuse to find the time to finally read it, if only a couple of chapters. I just took a look at week 13 module page and am excited to analyze rhetoric regarding climate change. I think it will help me further analyze rhetoric used in the environmental and scientific community, and am excited to use these skills within my own major. I have really enjoyed this course more than I had anticipated. How many of us have gotten that from a student before? Okay. Thank you for choosing fun and relevant material to keep us engaged and interested. And I want to say, I still think Colt should have that O in it as, oh, so that's how you do it. Thank you.